story this hour. Gazprom says that Ukraine has shut all 4 pipelines which send gas to Europe, causing several countries to run out of fuel. But Ukraine claims that Russia stopped delivering all gas to Europe through its territory on Wednesday morning. Well, let's try and update you from around the region. Igor Ogorodnev is in Romania, which is one of the affected countries. Maria Fanoshna is at Gazprom's headquarters in Moscow. And Alexei Yaroshevsky is in Kiev. Now, first of all, hi there, guys. But first of all, Igor, how is Romania coping with its gas shortages?
Well, first of all, I would just like to say that we have had the confirmation that the situation here is consistent with what you've just told us about the pipelines being shut down in Ukraine. The Romanian Economy Ministry has said that Romania has stopped receiving any gas whatsoever. Also, they're saying that they're going to be contacting the government of Vladimir Putin urgently in order to find out what is going to be the situation there and how soon we can have a resolution. Now, I have spoken to people here. Almost everybody is aware of this problem and people are worried. But at the same time, their own government is calming them down. It's saying that this is a dispute that's likely to be concerning them at the government level, but nobody is going to lose their access to gas at home. They won't have to turn off the heating. There'll be no turning off of gas stoves or anything like this. So for the moment, Romania has got quite a lot of supplies stockpiled, and also it has alternative routes which would allow it to avoid the crisis if it does carry on for days and perhaps weeks.
Okay, so Romania seeming to be sitting pretty-ish at the moment. How is the impact being felt in other European countries?
Well, the situation elsewhere is dire. Particularly, we are talking about those countries which were not prepared for this, which did not stockpile the gas on the one hand. Also, the countries in the Balkans, Bulgaria and Greece as well, which are mostly very reliant on Russian gas and which are also only supplied by the pipe which goes through the Ukraine. The situation in those countries is going to be severe. We already talked about the state of emergency perhaps in Slovakia. We also know that there is less than a week's supply in Macedonia, and we're going to be receiving similar information perhaps from Croatia and from Serbia as well. So the situation there is actually even worse than the situation in Romania.
So, Igor, what are they planning to do about it? What are these countries going to do?
Well, we are looking for a Europe-wide response now. This is what is perhaps going to happen next. At the beginning of this dispute, Europe said that it was going to stay out of this crisis, that this was a bilateral issue to be solved between Ukraine and Russia, an industrial dispute, a business dispute. But now the situation is changing. What they're saying now is that the gas is being turned off and the EU is perhaps going to have to get involved in some way, trying to either mediate the conversation or perhaps talk separately to Ukraine and talk separately to Russia and get them to meet each other and get them to agree on a price for gas. So we're going to be, today, the European Commission is going to be meeting with the Czech Republic's representatives. Czech Republic has the presidency of the European Union at the moment, and they're going to be discussing what the strategy is going to be further. And Gazprom team is already in Europe as well, so they're going to be talking to the European officials as well. So we are going to be moving from this being a bilateral dispute to a dispute into which the whole of Europe is involved, not just because of the negotiations, but because many EU members are now being short of gas.
Okay, well, to find out a bit more about the two sides, the two arguments, we're going to cross now to Maria in Moscow. Now, what is Gazprom saying, Maria, about Europe's gas shortages at the moment?
Well, Gazprom is continuing to blame Ukraine, saying its irresponsible behavior led to serious gas shortages in a number of European countries, and that Kiev alone is responsible for these fuel prices in Europe. Gazprom says it has undertaken a number of measures trying to compensate Russia's European customers for the gas Gazprom says was stolen by Ukraine. Gazprom has increased gas amounts going from Russia to Europe, avoiding Ukraine, so through Belarus, Poland and Turkey, and has started to use Russia's gas stockpiles in storages in western Ukraine. But as far as Gazprom's deputy CEO Alexander Medvedev says, those measures are not enough, as the consequences of Ukraine's actions are too serious.
None of our efforts can make up for what Ukraine has done by closing its export pipelines. The most cynical thing is that Ukraine is accusing Gazprom of not supplying gas to Ukraine. Every schoolchild knows that when sealing one end of a pipe makes it impossible to feed gas into it from the other end. Therefore, the entire responsibility for what is happening is on the Ukrainian part.
Meanwhile, Gazprom confirmed that Ukraine is continuing to illegally siphon off Russia's gas from transit pipes, the gas which is bound for Europe. And the company says it will reduce its delivery of gas to Ukraine by the amount that was stolen.
The gas illegally withdrawn since the beginning of the year by Naftogaz Ukraine from our supplies to European consumers has not been returned. In the past day, under the pretext of needing to process supplies, Naftogaz Ukraine has stolen another 21 million cubic meters of gas intended for Western Europe. In such a situation, we have no other choice than to cut supplies by another 21 million cubic meters.
Now, Gazprom spokesman there was talking about, obviously, gas being stolen. What evidence does Gazprom actually have to say that the gas has been stolen by Ukraine?
Well, Gazprom says that as far as independent auditors are still being blocked from working at Ukraine's gas measuring stations, Gazprom has invited a natural resource analyst group from Switzerland to ensure an independent measuring of gas leaving Russia and gas leaving Ukraine. And as far as Gazprom's deputy CEO Alexander Medvedev says, the results of this independent monitoring say that Ukraine is indeed illegally siphoning off Russia's gas from export pipes. I have to say that Ukraine still denies any illegal actions.
Well, to find out a bit more about what Ukraine is actually saying, I'm going to cross now to Kiev and Alexei. So what has Ukraine's energy company Naftogaz said this Wednesday morning?
Well, indeed, as Maria just said, Ukraine has been denouncing all accusations of Gazprom, denying its guilt in the supplies of Russian gas to Europe being cut. Moreover, Ukraine says after Gazprom claimed that Ukraine shut down the fourth gas pipe which was transferring gas to Europe, Ukraine used another wording saying that it was Gazprom who was actually blocked the transit of Russian gas through Ukrainian territory to Europe. This stance has been reiterated in the last couple of days or so. The Ukrainian company Naftogaz has been saying that it is Gazprom who is responsible, whose actions are irresponsible, and who is not understanding what the transit is all about in this case. And also in particular, Oleg Dubina, the head of the company, the head of the Naftogaz company, was explaining that Ukraine actually used its own gas from its own reserves to supply to Europe to fulfill for the gas lost to carry on the work of its transportation system. This is what Oleg Dubina has been saying to the delegation from the European Commission, which was here in Kiev on Tuesday, trying to see with their own eyes what has been happening and whether accusations of Gazprom have real force. But as we know, the observers from several companies have not been allowed into gas stations in Ukraine, and so far it is really hard to say what steps Ukraine will take next. We know that the delegation of Naftogaz company will arrive to Moscow to hold negotiations with the Russian gas giant Gazprom on Thursday, tomorrow, the 8th of January.
Alexei Yaroshevsky in Kiev, Maria Finoshina in Moscow, and Igor Ogrodnev in Romania. Thank you very much.